Now, we've got to listen carefully, of course, to the expert advice. We've curbed the level of international infections coming into this country, and we're starting to see more community infections. This means we're a long way from done and that the worst might still be to come. Yet we're entitled to be encouraged. We can see that border closures, compulsory quarantine, an extensive and growing testing regime, shutdowns of travel, tourism and hospitality businesses, and physical distancing rules and practices across the nation have enabled this country over the past week to reduce the number of new infections detected, despite the number of tests going up. So yes, there's some purpose to our actions, even while we know there's a long winter to come and we need to all play a part to ensure we don't lose control. With all that taken as a given, and while we know we'll need to change and adapt as our response to this pandemic evolves, I've got to say I'm deeply worried about the law enforcement front and the fact that we might be going too far. We've had an activist media driven by social media pushing state and federal governments to do more, and all governments are scared of not doing enough. We've had activist academics and medical representatives, many with political agendas, prodding and even bullying ministers over their actions or lack of action, supposedly. They've been screaming for weeks, shut everything down, shut down society, shut down schools, shut down businesses and shut down the whole economy. We've had plenty of medical advice, for instance, that schools are a safe option, a place to keep kids organised and focused, coached on hygiene, away from vulnerable people and continuing with their education. Yet still our schools are as good as closed. Students are shunned. Those that do turn up are just minded at the moment rather than taught. Now we've got citizens being threatened with heavy fines if they leave home. We've got people being abused and threatened with legal action if they go to the beach. We've got police driving their cars around in parks, checking that nowhere there's more than two of us together in a public place. Is this proportionate? Is this reasonable, given we live in an educated, sensible, liberal and egalitarian society? Is this the way we should operate when we confront a community challenge?
I can confirm that New South Wales has now the capacity to enforce those extra measures we announced yesterday. I really want the community to step up and make sure that you stick to the rules we've set in place. Do not leave your home unless you absolutely have to.
Unless you've been living under a rock or unless you're an idiot, you're quite clear that the restrictions are there. The restrictions to be abided by, and so we're going to be enforcing them from today.
Now, there's a lot of threatening going on. We know there will be idiots and scumbags. We've had people allegedly spit at police and others have opened bars illegally. Well, go ahead and throw the book at these people. But threatening all Australians? Surely authorities need to tone it down a bit. I mean, look what they're doing in Western Australia.
They're the eyes and voices in the sky.
Social distancing is critical.
Like something out of a science fiction movie, but this is our new reality. Police drones breaking up groups of more than two.
These drones will be used at parks and other places where people congregate and people are not adhering to the social distancing rules.
Fair go. What sort of brave new world is this? What we're all living through is not a government project or a police operation. It's not even a medical task. This is a community challenge. This is a time when citizens are going to deliver the outcome. It's citizens who provide the medical care, run the pathology tests, make the deliveries, clean the bathrooms, stack the shelves, and it's citizens who provide and prepare the food we eat. Governments and other authorities, we know they need to make difficult decisions all the time. They need to enforce some new laws, provide information so that people can take reasonable precautions for their own sake and the sake of others. But fair go. Except in the most egregious and obnoxious examples, it's not the government's job to threaten people about leaving home, flying drones over our parks to make sure we aren't catching up with friends. And I'm not downplaying the threat. I'm not undermining the fundamental changes we've adopted to protect our medical system and especially protect our elderly and vulnerable. Like most of us, I've got elderly family and friends I'm deeply worried about. First and foremost, my parents, who I can't even visit because of our travel restrictions. But here's the deal. We're all dealing with this crisis, and Australians don't deserve to be treated like delinquents. It's citizens who are suffering from this pandemic, losing their jobs, losing their businesses, their schooling and their social interactions. And it's Australian citizens who are combating it, running the hospitals, providing the essentials, staying home, schooling their kids and offering state and federal governments and the police and other authorities all the appropriate support. Whether you're a politician, a medico, a teacher or a policeman, we appreciate your work and the pressure you're under, and we support the aims you're trying to achieve. We are all in this together. But please, rather than threaten and frighten people, rather than tackle a horrible health and economic crisis with some strange version of a police state, our leaders should try to appeal to what Abraham Lincoln called the better angels of our nature. Why? Because that's what will work best. That's what will maintain social cohesion and cooperation, and it'll ensure we don't lose our national character just when we need it most.